Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and today I'm going to review the Blu Ray and 4K edition of Will Smith in Gemini Man. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos every single day. You can also find me over Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Movie Guy 365, as well as over at the Disney Magic Hour podcast. I will leave a link for that in the description. Alright, so Gemini Man is here on Blu-ray / 4K, and as you can see here, I have the Blu-ray 4K Steelbook edition. Those are usually my preferred ways to pick this one up. And this is going to be, quite frankly, a very interesting review. Mostly has to do with the HFR effect, the 24 frames per second on the Blu-ray versus the 60 that we can find on the 4K. We're going to talk about all that. We're going to break it down. If you want to jump to a specific portion of the review, I'm going to go ahead and leave chapter times right there, and you can go ahead and skip to which part is best suited for your needs. All right, so we're going to do a quick unboxing, and then we're going to come back and talk about the Blu-ray and the 4K. All right, Gemini Man Steelbook, I think looks pretty nice. It's got a nice shine to it, so it really kind of has a good reflective surface. And I like the back cover too. I think that's really kind of solid. Honestly, I think I would have liked this as the front cover. And we have the spine here. And we dive right in. Just artwork in general. Nothing really specific. So, all right. Let's talk about the picture quality and the audio. Now, Gemini Man was actually shot digitally, so for the Blu-ray, they had to render that frame rate way down. It wasn't going to really be, I guess, for artistic purposes or technology limitations. So Gemini Man Blu-ray picture is going to be relegated to 24 frames per second. So while it was shot digitally, it has more of a filmic, natural look to it, not as soap opera-y as we get over on the 4K edition. Now I know that bothers some people, but this is a really interesting way to kind of watch the movie in two different for lack of a better word, formats. The Blu-ray, you get the more natural kind of what we would see at the theater, just your standard 20s. We've come a long way as far as digital filmmaking goes, and it's a very good overall presentation as far as the picture quality goes. Black levels are nice. A little bit of grayness here and there. Unfortunately, that's just kind of a byproduct of the Blu-ray and HD, but it's nothing it's really obtrusive. It's really going to bother you. It's just one of those things that when you're kind of reviewing a title, you purposely look for. And it doesn't necessarily stand out, but they are prevalent at certain points of the movie. But for the most part, I think it looks great. Detail-wise, good, awesome, very nice looking detail over on the Blu-ray, and color levels look good. There's not a whole lot going. It's not really a colorful movie. Those are mostly relegated to things like the scenery. There's several very kind of interesting locations that make use of that good color. Everything from tropical areas to those cities that that just are vibrant with just life and color. It looks really good. Overall, I think as far as a Blu-ray presentation goes, the picture quality is pretty top notch. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and talk about the 4K quality in just a moment, and then we'll do audio. Since audio is mixed for Dolby Atmos for both versions, there's going to be one review for both. So, all right, let's talk about the 4K picture quality. I know there's pretty much a big debate, and there's a lot of preference when it comes to movies that utilize HFR or higher frame rates. This is not the first time Ang Lee has implemented this. The Billy Lynn's movie, The Halftime Walk, also used a very similar approach, and we get that here, but in more of an action setting. Now, for me, it's not my preferred way to watch a movie, but I don't necessarily will skip a movie because it utilizes that. So I think for the most part, it's an interesting choice, and it works. So we're rendered here at 60 frames per second, and it makes the picture, the whole soap opera effect thing aside, pristine, cleanest thing I've ever probably have seen on disc. That's the thing you have to sacrifice for the lower, for the higher frame rate, but you definitely get a good looking image. Bother me. It didn't bother me when I saw it in the theater, and that was running at, I believe, over 100 frames per second. So if I knew what I was getting into when I watched this movie, and for the most part, I think how Ang Lee shot it was really good, and it actually is very nice. Dolby Vision looks spectacular here. Just general variety of color that is presented here. Detail-wise, everything, skin textures, the aesthetics of buildings, costuming or clothing, they all get a significant bump, and I think even more so utilizing utilizing the higher frame rate. It's like, it's really kind of realistic, like, you know, from your TV realism. It's really neat. It's actually kind of cool. If you can get past the high frame rates, which I think a lot of people have trouble with, this is something that actually just kind of marvel at and just look at. Whether you like the movie or not, it's at least worth watching once in this format, you know, and you can never have to see it again if you choose. But I think overall, Dolby Vision, HDR, they look great. They really utilize this to another level, and it's just an overall spectacular presentation. All right, so let's talk about the audio. All right, so one thing that both discs, both the Blu-ray and the 4K share, is an Atmos track. So these are pretty much, you know, interchangeable, no special, you know, differences that I could at least detect. We get a very, very hefty audio track here as far as Dolby Atmos goes. It sounds pretty phenomenal at times. There's a lot going on with ambience. Those scenes when I mentioned earlier in the review of like tropical locations, you hear like birds flying by, and you get the nice little like wind and ocean kind of things in the background. Really utilize the surround sound effects fairly effectively, as well as any action scenes, especially during the climax, are very heavy. You know, just like, I love the special, you know, the things where like the bullets are flying and you hear it like land somewhere and it's right behind your ear. You definitely get a lot of instances of that. The height speakers, overheads, they sound pretty good. They're not consistent. They're not like prevalent throughout the whole film, but they do kick in especially if you're listening for them, and they just give you an overall like an enveloping feeling that you're like in the soundstage of the movie that's presenting to you. It sounds really good. The front channels are also very well utilized. A lot of oomph to it. The LFE kicks in quite frequently, and I think it's done in a responsible way. It's not just added in there. I've heard some audio LFE mixes recently where it feels like it's just, you know, kind of just in your face too much, and I think it utilizes it very well here. As I said, fronts are really good. Center channel sounds fantastic. Dialogue comes through really easy to understand. I had no problems whatsoever with it. Overall, a very impressive audio mix. The Atmos, if you got that set up, I think you're going to be very impressed with what we have here. All right, so let's talk about my overall impressions and the score. Yeah, we all know that HFR is not everybody's cup of tea, and I think for the most part it's worth watching at least once. And if you get it on disc, do yourself a favor, get the 4K combo pack. I really believe that what we get here is something special. You know, whether you like the high frame rate or not, you can't deny how good it looks on 4K. And if you're a Blu-ray fan, you definitely get a lot here. The Blu-ray looks spectacular. It's one of the cleanest looking images overall. And for the audio mix, you can't really go wrong here. So I'm going to go ahead and give the Blu-ray picture quality, I'm going to give that one a solid A. I think it deserves it. It's absolutely one of the best looking discs I've seen in recent memory, especially on the Blu-ray format. And as far as 4K goes, I would absolutely agree. I think the high frame rate actually gives you that extra little oomph to it. So I'm going to go ahead and give the picture quality for the 4K the A+. I think it looks spectacular. Whether you like the high frame rate or not, you can't, as I said, you can't really deny how good it looks. And audio mix, I'm giving that a solid A. I think there's a lot going on there. It's very consistent throughout the movie. The surrounds have a lot to do. LFE, fronts, everything is on par. It really sounds good. It's an overall excellent looking and sounding discs. So let me know in the comments below if you had a chance to check out Gemini Man in Blu-ray or 4K and what your thoughts were. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos every single day. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guide 365. I will see you at the movies.